Moving on, Sarah had a question. She says, I want to use this for all of my older students, or all older kids, 8 and 10. Any advice for making it not babyish? And she said that was her daughter's word. Really great question. So first of all, spell to write and read can be used with any student from preschool to adult. These principles work. Hold on just a second. These principles work for anyone that needs to learn how to read or spell or write. Okay, so I have used this tutoring adults. Okay, I've used this when I teach my seminars. The people come in. It is very rare for somebody to come to my seminar and have been taught using this method. It's very rare. And they walk out going, wow, I know more about English than I did coming in. And in fact, Wanda, one time Wanda had a linguistics professor that came to her seminar. That can be quite intimidating, you know, oh, he's an expert, he knows so much. And after the class, he came to Wanda and he said, I learned more in these 2 days than I ever did in my entire college degree, or earning my college education. And so one thing you need to communicate to your kids is that this program, this method, it's not going to mean a lot to them, but communicate that this method can be used with anybody. It's not just for little kids. This is used, I was using this with high school students, not just I remember a couple years ago I was in doing SWR in a homeschool co-op, and I was given a 12th grader who was preparing to graduate high school. And we had an amazing time. In fact, my worksheets book, I believe it's this one, the N through Z, is dedicated to her. Yep, it's dedicated to her because it was just so much fun. This is used with older students all the time. So it's helpful for her to understand that this is a method that can be used with adults. But she's getting it young so that she doesn't have to have it when she's an adult. That we're training her brain now so that she wouldn't have to have this when she's older, and she would be frustrating because she didn't know how to read. So that's something to make sure that she knows. You can let her know that you're teaching her things that most adults don't know. When I go to homeschool conferences, I have a board that I put up, and I have some questions that I ask, like, can you explain 5 reasons for a silent final E? Can you explain what the letter C is going to say in an unknown word? Why do the words heard, as in I heard it, and beard, as in he had a scruffy beard, why do they look alike but sound different? So I've got a list of questions that I ask, and unless somebody has been trained in this method, they cannot answer those questions. And I've had more people stand there. I go, I don't know this. I can't tell you that. And so you need a first grader that's trained in these phonograms and rules. They can answer all those questions. A first grader, at the end of first grade, I think there's only one rule that they've not been exposed to. And but all of the questions that I have on my board, a first grader could explain. And so she needs to understand that you're teaching her something that most adults don't even know. Okay, that's another thing. Then what I would do is I would hold up a dictionary. Get the biggest dictionary you can. Okay, and have her open it and, you know, find a word she doesn't know. Just point to it, you know. And then, oh, I don't have them with me, but I want you to hold up your 70 basic phonograms cards and your 28 spelling rule cards. Okay, 98 cards. Now, we think that's a lot, but believe me, the kids learn it way faster than you will. They're amazing. Their little brains just soak it up, and we're just, you know, like trying to remember it. But then, see, they're younger, and their brains are more ripe for learning than our older brains. So anyway, I want you to hold them up, and I want you to say, these are 98 keys that unlock this language. Our language, our English, has over 1 million words. Over 1 million. There's no way that you can memorize over 1 million words by sight. Can't do it unless you're, you know, like one of those people that have the photographic memory and just memorize things. But they still don't understand the sound system unless they've been exposed to that. But my point is that the normal average person cannot memorize a language that big, just memorize by sight. So they have to understand, they have to unlock that code. And those 98 keys you're holding in your hand, those 98 cards, it unlocks that entire dictionary. And so she needs to understand that, okay? Then also, there is a video on my Facebook page here. If you go to the videos page, first of all, if you're watching this, you're probably on my Facebook page, which is right here, facebook.com SWR Training. Okay, if you go to that page and then go to the videos, which is basically just put the /videos at the end of the URL and you'll go right to the video section. Okay, and if you go to that video section, there is a video that I did last summer. It's called The Diagnostic Test in Placing a Student in the WISE Guide. Now, the reason that I'm bringing that up again is because when the words are too easy, her brain is not engaged. So we want to make sure that you've placed her at a point in the WISE list where it's challenging for her. Okay? If you're teaching her words she already knows how to spell, she's not getting it. So let me explain something I do in my seminars. I start with a diagnostic test because that's one of the things we do when we're starting with an adult or an older student. That I assume you gave a diagnostic test to your 8 and 10-year-olds. And so we want to see where they are in their understanding the phonics code. So I do that in my seminar. I give them a diagnostic test. And of course, there's some groaning and grunts because I'm getting up higher in the word list. And so I'm getting up into freshman college level words. And then I have them flip the page over and I give them words that I know nobody in the room has ever heard of or knows how to spell. And then I really hear groans. They're like, oh, I don't even know what that word means. And I use it in a sentence. And just like we teach spelling words. But if you were a child and you didn't know what that word meant, then you'd be like, what? What's that word? And I'm now asking you to spell it. And so I put the seminar students in the position of the child learning how to spell new words that they've never even heard of. And then we go through our seminar, okay? And then at the end, I teach those words in the SWR format. And they go, wow, I think I could learn how to spell this way. But I want them to see that the principles we teach a kindergartner, they apply no matter how high the level of vocabulary is. Okay? It works. The principles work. And those big, long, fancy words are nothing but phonograms and syllables and reliable rules that work. Make sure that you have placed them at the appropriate place in the WISE list. A lot of times what people do is they think they have to start at the very beginning. So I would not have an 8 and a 10-year-old in the beginning lists. I would not have them in section A, B, C, because frankly, unless they're English as a second language and completely illiterate with English, they probably already knows how to spell most of those words. And so, and if they don't, if they've got some gaps, then you're going to fill those in when you start at a level of spelling that is more challenging. So my question is, where are you in the list? Did you start them at a place that challenges, or are you giving them words that are way too easy? Also, another thing you can do is you can teach a challenge word or two. So you teach, you know that you're at the right place in the WISE list. So every week, give them a challenge word. Pick a word, maybe from X, Y, and Z, lists X, Y, and Z in the WISE Guide, and throw that one at them. And give them word. I mean, I taught words that my high schoolers, they were within the WISE list, which means 2,000 of the most frequent words in the language. They had never heard of those words. So these are legitimate, normal, everyday words for higher level students. And you could give her a couple of those challenge words. And then she was like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, maybe this is, maybe I need to pay attention to this. And then another thing you can do is you can teach parallel lists. So one time I was working with my own kids, and I had tested them, and they were 4th, 6th, and 8th grade at the time. And I had to start at list N, which is 2nd grade work. But that's where they were, because I had just been horribly, horribly inconsistent with my lessons. Confession, I was inconsistent as a homeschool mom. And so that's where I started. And I was just, I was being consistent. I was blogging about my lessons, and so that, the internet sphere would hold me accountable. And but I was just like, I need to be getting into higher level vocabulary with them. And, I'm plugging away. We were doing, we got up to 40 words a week and we were making good progress, but I knew it was going to take a while before I got into words that were anywhere near where my two older students should be. And so somehow, I probably learned this from Wanda, I started teaching from two different places in the WISE Guide. So I think I had just entered section O, and so we'd gotten all the way through N, and we were just into O. And what I did is, instead of taking two lists from O, maybe O1 and O2, I just did 20 words from list O, boom, and then I jumped up to S. And so I did, guess what? 20 words from S. And so instead of doing two lists and going this way, I did a list here and a list there, and then I went that way. And so they were getting words that were at their level, and then they were getting words that were higher level, that were more challenging. And you know what happened? They got better and better at both lists, because it was, their brains were engaged, they were engaged in the whole process, and we were able to make really good progress. And I was consistent. Consistency, huge, huge, huge. Okay.